A question that has drilled a hole in my psyche for as long as I can remember, and it probably has for you too if you're watching this video. I have so many interests, but what the f do I focus on? And I'd be lying if I told you that I hadn't watched a bunch of videos on this exact topic and how to manage it. But what I have not been able to get out of those videos is an actual, like, practical system to use that actually makes sense for everybody, or at least for majority of people. I just finished up my day as an outside sales rep for an oil company, and now I'm heading to the MMA gym where I'm going to do some training. And I wanted to talk about this because you have a ton of things you want to focus on. You have different hobbies and interests and skills, but you don't know which ones to focus on more of and which ones to prioritize, and how to fit it all into your day, how to fit it all into your life. When you have all these interests and hobbies and skills in the first place, it's because you have a natural tendency. You're naturally drawn to do those things, and like you're not gonna go out of your way to pick 5,000 things to be interested in. It doesn't happen that way. It's a natural thing. You know, I think it's great. For me, I've always been able to pride myself on the fact that I can do a bunch of different things. I'm good at a lot of things that most people have never even tried. But what has that actually done for me other than give me the ability to say that? And I've realized that I go through these phases where I get something and I juice it for all that it's worth. And I figure out how to get as good and how to maximize it as much as I possibly can. Like right now, I've been trying everything I can to just learn everything about mixed martial arts and physical conditioning and training and the mentality behind it and what makes fighters great, you know, everything about it. And before that, I mean, I had stuff like chess, I had stuff like even like Rubik's Cubes, I had stuff like video games, I had stuff like baseball, football, boxing, all these things. And I just thought it was funny because as much as I think about how it's so hard to just focus on one thing, that's essentially what I'm doing, but just at different intervals. You know, it may be impossible, it may be very hard to focus on one thing forever, which I don't think anybody should do. I think you should explore as many different things as you can over time, but on a micro level, it's a lot easier than you think. Something I was able to connect from just training martial arts and just training in general is that you don't train the exact way throughout the entire year. You have different phases. You have, you know, different intervals in your training. You're not going to do the same exact movements, same exact lifts, same exact, you know, routines every single day, every single week. That's not how it works. You break up your training into different, just cycles, seasons, if you will. Bodybuilders, powerlifters might go through phases where they focus a lot on high reps and, you know, lots of volume, just lots of work. Other cycles, they may just focus a lot on low reps and a lot of weight. MMA fighters not going to focus on striking 24/7. They're not going to just focus on how to punch and just focus on how to kick. They're going to learn how to wrestle, how to grapple, and it might be the best way to learn those things and the best way to improve at those things might just be doing intervals or cycles or going through seasons at a time where you just focus on that one thing. You're not neglecting the entire picture. You're not neglecting, you know, striking by, you know, doing a cycle of jiu-jitsu or a cycle of wrestling, but you're able to position yourself in a way where you can focus on one thing at a time while still being able to have the entire picture. But during this hyper obsession with mixed martial arts, while I've been pushing myself to learn and to become the best athlete I possibly can, I did realize that I also started neglecting another hyper obsession of mine, which is YouTube and creating videos. But then I thought about it and I was like, what if I'm just going through a season right now where I can eventually use that and plug it into the bigger picture, which is my life, which is like everything. If I didn't have this hyper obsession, if I hadn't gone down this, I guess, rabbit hole, you can call it, I wouldn't have gained these perspectives that I have right now, and I wouldn't be able to implement them into my YouTube videos, right? The best thing I could tell you would be, don't feel like you have to prioritize every single interest and focus and just choose to focus on the ones that have the highest return on investment, because that can work. And if that works for you, then go do it. I'm not going to claim that I have the solidified answer, the golden ticket to this phenomenon, but I can say that if I was going to prioritize what has the highest return on investment for any one of my hobbies, skills, or interests. I will be working, so I would be selling stuff 24/7. That's all I would be thinking about. But that's not necessarily, I wouldn't want to do that. That wouldn't be fulfilling to me. Yes, it's great to have a job and a way to make money and to fund my life. But if that was the only way I prioritize, or the only way that I sorted out my hobbies, interests, and skills, I would be neglecting a lot of stuff. And that's not sustainable. But again, I went through a phase where all I was thinking about, all I was focusing on was my work and was selling, because I had to find a solid foundation. I had to, I was new to the job, new to the industry. And so that season of my life from, anywhere from June, July, August, September, that's what I focused on, because that was the most important thing. And I think importance changes. I don't think that what's important or what's most important right now is going to be the most important thing in a couple months. Everything's always changing. And so I don't think it makes any sense to try and neglect this change, or try and pretend like things stay the way they are all the time. It is okay to cycle through an interest where you cycle through a phase where all you're thinking about is baseball, all you're thinking about is business, all you're thinking about is writing, all you want to do is paint. You can do those things. I just think that it's all part of the bigger picture. It's all part of the mosaic, the puzzle of your life. And if you choose to prioritize one piece over the other, and you're never going to complete the puzzle. It's never going to be a true work of art. But I think the biggest thing for me now, and probably you as well, is, after you go through all those cycles, all those phases, all those seasons of, finding different things that you are exploring, eventually the next step, I believe, is figuring out a way to combine them all together and to make them one thing, so that even though you're not technically focusing on one thing at a time, you really are. I hope that made sense, because that either makes zero sense or a lot of sense. But in my mind, what I'm thinking right now is combining the lessons that I learned from selling and working a sales job, from mixed martial arts to music to YouTube to creation to writing to reading, and using everything that I have in my brain, in my body, in my soul, and creating things that highlight all of it. And so my goal for this is to not try and force myself to focus on one thing at a time. I'm going to continue to follow my natural curiosities, my natural tendencies, and if I feel inclined to focus on one thing, then I will. If I feel inclined to focus on lots of things, then I will. But the one thing that's going to be the cornerstone of all of this is the work I put together using all of it. And I want to show everybody, I want to show myself that, I can create videos where I talk about selling, I talk about mixed martial arts, and I talk about music, I talk about all those things, but weave it into one big picture and weave that big picture into my life. So I'm operating at peak efficiency and I'm completely fulfilled. There's so many things, but rather than telling yourself that you can only have a few, you can have all of them. I don't know if anything that I said in this video made any sense at all, but I hope it does. I hope it did. Time to go do some training. Probably gonna do some wrestling, some jiu-jitsu. In the future, I'm definitely going to be doing some filming. I'm gonna do some, cause I wanna show you guys what's going on in my gym, what I'm really doing every single day. Do some voiceovers, just do some stuff like that. But hope you enjoyed this video. Catch you next time.